If you want to get in contact with me, the best way to do it is on Instagram. If you just want to say what up, if you want to tell me you love my videos, you can tell me that you hate my videos, but the best way to do that is on Instagram. Peace, y'all. Jonny Fastlane here. So, Lil Reese got shot yesterday and is now in critical condition, and Eric B just got released from jail. Plus, did Wendy Williams call Nicki Minaj a washed up rapper? Let's talk hip hop. Well, this is crazy, right? Because Lil Reese got shot yesterday, right? I mean, he got shot in broad daylight at like 2:30 p.m., the middle of the day, like in the suburbs, right? So he's like 25 miles away from the city of Chicago, in the suburbs. Maybe that's where his house is, maybe that's where his side chick is, whatever the case may be, but somebody shot him, right? So the whole situation is that Reese is like rushing, speeding through the streets and speeding through traffic. There's another car that's in pursuit of him that's like following him, right? And that other car managed to like corner him. The guy gets out of his car and shoots Lil Reese in the neck, right? And then those other people in the other car just flees, right? So Lil Reese obviously can't drive anymore if he's there, and if he has a gunshot bullet wound like to his neck, right? So ultimately the police show up to the spot. All they see is a vacant car, door open, blood all in the driver's seat, blood on the ground next to the car, and they're trying to figure out what happened, and they realize, you know, witnesses say like, yo, somebody shot some man, and then somebody took him to somewhere, probably the hospital, right? So the police start looking around and searching hospitals that are in the area, and they find out that somebody had been shot, and they find out who the person is, and it turns out it's Lil Reese, right? A Chicago legend, right? And then what they did was they actually transferred Lil Reese from that hospital where he was in the emergency room to another hospital, right? And I'm guessing they probably transferred him to the other hospital for surgery, or maybe because it's better doctors and Lil Reese does have the money to pay for better doctors and stuff like that. And maybe, you know, that first hospital didn't really have the facilities that they needed to save Lil Reese's life, right? Once he got transferred to that second hospital though, they were saying that Lil Reese was in critical condition, right? Which is horrible because that's like critical condition in 24 hours. You either could get better, and that's cool, or you could pass away from those gunshot wounds in the hospital, right? We don't know which is which or which is going to happen because this just happened yesterday, right? So then, you know, Lil Durk went on Instagram or went on Twitter and he says that Lil Reese is good, right? I'm sure that he probably talked to Lil Reese, maybe even visited Lil Reese, right? And Lil Durk is not a doctor, but I get it, right? So of course he wants his friend to be okay, but we don't really know, right? We can't take Lil Durk's word for it. We just have to wait and see, right? But this is crazy, man, because even though Lil Reese is only 26 years old, he's a Chicago legend, right? He's one of those people that helped shape that whole drill movement, the sound of Chicago. He's like a OG, triple OG, even though he's super young within this whole situation, right? So this is just crazy. It's sad, man. I pray for Lil Durk. I pray for Lil Reese. You know what I'm saying? I pray for his family, his kids, everything. Like, this is insane right now. But this is all the information that we have now. Nobody has been arrested at all. They do not have any, well, as far as we know, they don't have any footage. The police at least haven't released any footage yet, or any camera angles or anything like that, even though all that stuff could be available. They're being really cool, really calm, and right now they're just investigating. And like I said, the whole situation didn't even happen, you know, 36 hours ago. So this is still new, and I'm sure they're still trying to figure out everything that's going on. But that's all we know for now, and of course I'll let you know more when it comes out. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Alright, so legendary rapper Eric B from, you know, Eric B and Rakim has been released from jail, right? And he was in jail for like maybe 2 weeks. And the whole situation is that he was coming back from Canada, and upon re-entry back into the US, they always check like all your info, right? And if you have any outstanding warrants or whatever the case may be, they will take you into custody and then try to figure it out then, right? So that's exactly what happened. The United States checked his info and they were like, oh, you got a warrant, please turn around, sir. And he's like, what, a warrant? Now it turns out that Eric B had a warrant from like back in 2001 or 2002 or something like that, like 17 years ago, right? So basically Eric B got pulled over for something, you know, back in 2001, right? They were trying to arrest him, and you know how it is. The cops say that you resisted arrest. He's resisting, when maybe he wasn't even resisting. Or maybe he was resisting, who knows, right? But anyway, Eric B ends up going to jail that time in 2002, and then he pled guilty to just like a minor assault on a police officer and resisting arrest, because, you know, you tussling with him or whatever like that, they're gonna hit you with all kind of charges like that, right? So anyway, at the time, since he pled guilty, Eric B's lawyer told him that, you know, you don't have to show up for your next court date, because after you pled guilty, his next court date was supposed to be for the sentencing of, you know, whatever crime that he did. So the sentencing was probably going to be no jail time and time served, and of course like a rehab program or whatever like that. Not drug rehab, but like an anger management kind of thing, right? So the whole thing that happened was, yeah, you know, Eric B did start the anger management little rehab kind of program or whatever, and everything was all good, or he thought everything was all good, right? And his lawyer did tell him that he didn't have to go back to court, but turns out he still did have to go back to court for sentencing, so that the judge could tell him that he had to go do that little program or whatever, right? But this is crazy, because that means that technically, well, not technically, this means that Eric B hasn't been out the country then since 2002, because if he had tried to enter back the country at any time between then and now, he would have got arrested, right? But he didn't, so he got arrested now, right? He was coming back into the US from Canada, from Vermont, and Vermont police arrested him. They sent him to New Jersey. He sat in the cell for 2 weeks, and then he got released, right? All because he had to pay like $5,000 worth of court fees or some kind of fines or something like that, which he did end up paying, and then they let him go, right? He still has to go back to court one more time, and I'm sure this time he'll definitely show up to court, right? But the whole situation is crazy. I don't think that Eric B is going to end up doing any jail time. It's just wild that they had like this rap hip-hop legend who's also a detective on Blue Bloods, and I didn't even know that, but you know, on that show, so that's crazy too. They're trying to mess up that man's bag, you feel me? But anyway, you know, my prayers go out to Eric B, and I'm like, thank God, at least he's home, right? Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments.
There's this soon-to-be washed-up rapper who can't keep my name out of its mouth.
So that was Wendy Williams talking about a washed-up rapper that can't keep her name out of its mouth, right? She said its mouth. So we don't know who exactly she's talking about, whether it's a guy or a girl. But anyway, so the whole situation is that a lot of people and Barbs think that she's talking about Nicki Minaj, right? And the reason why they think that she's talking about Nicki Minaj is simply because Nicki Minaj had come at Wendy Williams about 2 weeks ago, when Wendy Williams was talking about Nicki Minaj's husband, Petty Zoo, right? And basically, Wendy Williams was like, oh yeah, Nicki Minaj just got married to Petty Zoo, Kenneth Petty Zoo. Doesn't he have a manslaughter charge? Doesn't he go to jail? Didn't he go to jail for manslaughter? You know, what is manslaughter? Does that mean you actually killed somebody? So that was Wendy Williams, like trying to just poke fun at, you know, his charges, whatever like that. Nicki Minaj saw it, and she kind of just got really upset and went in on Wendy Williams on social media and on Queen Radio, and basically said like, yo, why every time you bring up my husband do you have to bring up like his prior charges? He already paid his debt to society, so you don't have to keep on bringing that up, right? Which is all true. He paid his debt legally. He paid his debt to society. He did the time in jail. So I kind of figure the same thing. Like, why do you need to keep on bringing it up? But at the same time, even though he served, you know, 10 years as far as like being in prison goes, he's got to serve life, bro, in the court of public opinion. And the court of public opinion is harsh, right? So Wendy Williams is part of that court of public opinion, so she does have the right to talk about Petty Zoo anytime she wants, unfortunately, whether Nicki Minaj likes it or not. So I see both their sides of it, right? So anyway, Nicki Minaj went at her, the Barbs went at her, and the Barbs are at it again, right? Because they're like, oh, she's got to be talking about Nicki Minaj. But that just kind of makes me feel like maybe the Barbs think that Nicki Minaj is washed up, or that Nicki Minaj is on her last leg. Like, if she didn't say no names, and she didn't refer to your favorite rapper, then why would you throw your favorite rapper's name in there? So maybe in the back of your head, you agree that Nicki Minaj is washed up, right? So anyway, a couple of barbs went on Twitter. Somebody says, Wendy, shut up. You're the person that can't keep Nicki out of your mouth. You keep calling her out. What is that? So we can't do the same? And you calling her a washed up rapper when she's one of the best rappers of this generation. Honestly, grow the hell up. I can't wait for Nicki to drag you. That's what somebody said, right? A barb, right? Somebody else said, Wendy, bitch, let's keep in mind that Nicki Minaj will always be superior to you. Never forget, and I hope that that Nicki drags you too once again. Will shape you up a little bit more, literally, because all you do is keep this queen's name in your mouth. Stop, right? So like these barbs are coming at Wendy Williams again, trying to defend Nicki Minaj, even though, again, Wendy Williams did not say Nicki Minaj's name, but just because she was one of the recent rappers that she had beef with, people think that she's talking about Nicki, right? But she has beef with a lot of rappers, right? To include 50 Cent, right? So why can't she be talking about 50 Cent? Because she didn't say, oh, this washed up rapper can't keep my name out of his mouth. Or a washed up rapper can't keep my name out of her mouth, right? Because then we would kind of know, okay, she either talking about 50 or Nicki, right? She said this washed up rapper can't keep my name out of its mouth. So we don't know who she's talking about, right? So somebody else said, Wendy really just called Nicki a washed up rapper and kept it moving. And then they put the laughing emojis, right? And then somebody replied to that and they said, or Wendy was referring to 50 Cent instead of Nicki. Soon to be washed up rapper will make more sense about 50 and the plot thickens, right? And that's true. Like, you don't know who she was talking about, but y'all just coming at Wendy Williams on some, yo, fuck you, bet, you know? So I don't know, right? And maybe she's talking about both of them at the same damn time, right? But I'm sure that she'll make it clear who she was talking about. Wendy Williams is not afraid about naming names or anything like that, but she's just holding it down and waiting for the right time, right? So, hey, man, we'll see what happens, yo. Let me know what you think about this and everything else in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Follow me at Jonny Fastlane on Instagram, and y'all already know what to do. Peace.